accidental bloopers that became iconic movie moments. Sometimes movies are able to capture genuine enchantment on film despite a team of amazing performers and tight production schedules. Actors make their blunders seem effortless while maintaining character, which is why they fetch such high pay, drive luxury cars, and enjoy life in treated spas in their home with million-dollar bracelets. In short, they experience life while most of us sip the bitter part of it. Whether it was an impromptu phrase that made the director laugh out loud or an odd choice for a scene, these are some accidental bloopers that became iconic TV moments. The Rain Man. To Tom Cruise, this interesting fact was less than entertaining. Dustin Hoffman did, in fact, fart when trapped in the phone booth. Hoffman and Cruise acted as if the incident had been included in the screenplay, although it was not. They maintained their characters so they wouldn't have to reshoot, and it paid well. After the film's premiere, the sequence was immediately singled out as one of the highlights. According to Tom, this was an embarrassment, but since they had such a tight schedule, they chose to ignore it. The moment appeared while editing, and editors and directors thought it made an episode that reflected how tight the situation was. In The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. In one memorable moment, Yowen looks out into the distance, and viewers may pick up on a flag being torn from its pole. You'd be incorrect to assume no malice was intended. Despite the flag's apparent symbolism, this design mistake was not deliberate. However, it was a natural match for the film's mood, and so it was included in the final edit of the fan favorite of the series. Forrest Gump. There are many humorous tales about the making of Forrest Gump, but the moment when Bubba is first introduced to Forrest may be the most touching. According to what Bubba says to Forrest, "My name is Benjamin Buford Blue. I've earned the nickname Bubba from my friends and family." Forrest speaks back to this proverb, "Forrest Gump here, introducing myself. My alias is Forrest Gump, and people often refer to me by that name." Though it isn't written in the script or part of the plot, the statement summarizes his personality perfectly. Avengers. Not what the character's creators had in mind, but Tony Stark is always snacking on something delectable. For whatever reason, Robert Downey Jr.'s habit of bringing food onto the set became an integral aspect of his character. Tony Stark snacking on pizza, strawberries, or whatever he happens to find are all set pieces involving the craft supplies table. This extension or habit of him snacking helped to create the Stark character we have today in Avengers. Some directors thought it would be amazing adding some human nature to his character for reality, and from that great snacking habit, we have the great Tony Stark. The Godfather. In several sequences or scenes, a cute cat appears in The Godfather. Although the film is mostly about the brutality and horror spread by the mafia, Don Vito Corleone, head of the mafia, makes some demands while cuddling a cat. The cat didn't even have a role in the film, yet it ended up on set and became the actor's best friend. With the help of the good-natured cat, the villainous commander became even more frightening. 40-Year-Old Virgin. During the comedy's iconic waxing scene, one of the iconic moments is the one when Steve Carell shouts "Kelly Clarkson" as a cursing word. These spontaneous wisecracks were all completely original creations. The fact that Steve Carell was really being waxed in front of audience is even more astounding. It was true that he would be more genuine in that sense, but he also put himself through agonizing suffering. He should be proud of how much time and effort he put into acting. The Dark Knight. This is a fantastic new idea, and it deserves applause. The villain Joker is featured prominently in the 2008 Batman film. If you love The Dark Knight, then you may remember the Joker's sarcastic clapping in the cell the most. Ironically, he was supposed to keep quiet and try to escape. But after realizing it was somehow hard, he just started to smile and clap. What most people don't realize is that Heath Ledger came up with this concept himself. He anticipated that the villainous, psychotic mastermind will be even more irritating than usual. Rocky. The Rocky film series may be among the most profitable in history, but the first film was made on a budget. As a result, the budget wouldn't allow for any supporting cast members, so they decided to shoot in the street, featuring people on the street to cut costs. Surprisingly, not a single person on the street was aware they were being filmed. The scene in which an unknown guy in the market tosses Rocky an orange was created on the spot. I personally think this is the most natural and creative way of doing modern movies, and come on, they all need an award for that creative idea. Scream. The plot of this well-known horror film is full of unexpected turns. One of those iconic moments and scenes is when Matthew Lillard's character, Stuart Mocker, realizes that the pistol isn't in the drawer after all. He then says, Houston, we have a problem, after realizing the situation. The actor made this up on the spot. However, it turns out that Houston didn't have any problems, since the murderer was really Stuart all along. Mrs. Doubtfire. It just takes Robin Williams a second to make a joke out of a problem, no matter how big or small the situation is. The production crew on the show forgot to take into consideration that the hot studio lights would melt the icing off his cheeks when he covered his face in it. When the candy dropped off his costume and into Mrs. Sellner's coffee pot, Robin came up with the perfect improvised remark, to which he said, "There you are, you've got your milk and your candy now." Raiders of the Lost Ark. When you watch this show, it's easy for you to believe that Indy was the one with the strategy. There was going to be a death match when he saw a sword-wielding warrior. Unfortunately, Harrison Ford became sick from the meals on the site that day. On the set, the screenplay was modified so that Indiana Jones could simply whip out a revolver and kill the antagonist. Because of this, the scene has become one of cinema's most iconic scenes in history. Guardians of the Galaxy. Chris Pratt can't seem to shake and let go of his talent for ridiculous comedy. The actor had just to hold out the sphere for one line, but he got butterfingers and accidentally knocked it on the floor. Peter continued chatting as if nothing had occurred, never breaking character. The director thought it was humorous and liked how it humanized the hero, so he chose to keep it in the final edit. Thor: Dark World. Even though he's all-powerful and strong, he even has a hammer that no one else can lift, Thor's not unkind. The actor improvised the sequence in which Thor swings his enormous hammer on a coat rack. Chris made up the routine on the spot in an attempt at comedy, and it was a huge success. Though he didn't promote it, even the director had to acknowledge that it was funny when actors strayed from the script. Star Wars. When it comes to summing up the unpredictable nature of love, one scene from Star Wars stands above the clips of the film industry. Han Solo was meant to respond to Princess Leia's normal phrase of "I love you" with "I love you too," but he thought it wouldn't be in character. Instead, he chose the iconic "I know" for the movie, which is remarkable given the breadth of the series. Princess Diaries. This classic romantic comedy stars Mia Thermopolis as the future monarch. The role of the Genovian teen who suddenly finds herself heir to the kingdom is played by Anne Hathaway. Mia has a conversation with her best friend on the bleachers, and at one point in the film, she falls down in the space between the seats. This was left out of the draft, but the filmmaker felt it was essential to the film's overall tone and interpretation of her character. Django Unchained. Although Leonardo DiCaprio has shown acting abilities for quite some time, his performance in the 2012 thriller is his most spectacular to date. While he may be out of character, he's still capable of smashing glassware. Glass cups shattered in the actor's hands, yet he continued filming without seeking medical assistance. In its place, he concluded the scene, which went on to become a major cinematic highlight of the year. The Silence of the Lambs. Anthony Hopkins was supposed to spend 25 minutes, but he made the most of that time, leaving an impression on viewers that's lasted for years. Hissing noises made by the serial killer actor as he recounts his numerous killings add to the creepiness of the character's depiction. Jodie Foster's mom's shocked expression is real, since she had no clue he was going to make that sound. Titanic. The iconic scene from the great Titanic in which Leonardo DiCaprio yells, "I'm king of the world," was made possible by DiCaprio's ability to think on his comic side of acting and improvise lines. James Cameron tried using a number of different lines, but none of them worked. Even though he first rejected the phrase, he eventually accepted it at face value. However, Leo did a great job of making it seem natural. And in the end, this epic scene remains one of those moments in the film industry that induced some reality into the film industry. Usual Suspects. Laughter is something that everyone enjoys. It was intended that the mood during the shooting of the lineup scene remained solemn, but a case of the giggles broke out during production of the show. The director was furious that they all broke character during filming, but nobody was able to maintain a straight face. It was inevitable that they would have to accept the current state of affairs. Spotless Mind. In one scene in this sci-fi romantic comedy, Kate Winslet's character vanishes. It's honest on Jim Carrey's part to be upset by her absence. The actor had no idea that Kate wouldn't be part of the action, so his frantic search for the restroom was really genuine. He searched for her, concerned that she may have missed the call time, but found that he was really left to his own devices. Luckily, everything turned out okay for the production. Full Metal Jacket. In this action film, R. Lee Ermey played Sergeant Hartman, although he was already a frontrunner for the role. During World War II, the actor served as a drill instructor for the Paris Island Army. He was brought on board initially as the film's team manager, but he eventually found himself in the spotlight. All the sequences with the military drill sergeant were imagined by him. Dirty Dancing. It's a no-brainer that Baby should never be placed in the corner, but even if she were, she could easily get out. At one point during their rehearsal for the big show, Johnny and Baby had a chance to get very close to one another by crawling across the scene. The script didn't include this at all. The players were only joking about and loosening up before production began, but the camera recorded their sweet moment anyhow. The Scent of a Woman. Having a young child in preparatory school work as an assistant to a blind, retired Army veteran leads to some bizarre situations. In preparation for his performance, Al Pacino tried to get used to not being able to see his surroundings by simply closing his eyes. Problem is, he's become a bit too adept at this trick, and he trips over a trash can. Nothing more than a lucky fluke brought out by some deliberate method acting.